I can see this online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have one.
We have,
We've got one
Jeremy.
picture. Where do you think? Jeremy's on Zoom. Great.
yes,
Hey, Jeremy.
Where my office is,
Hey, everybody.
so painful, because sometimes I have to
Where?
727 more, because it's for over, from around Green Street, and just when they come to my.
Jenny, you good? Michael, good? We have liftoff?
Oh, I see, and that's.
Oh, that's great. Meeting is called to order. Good morning, one and all. And,
we want to make sure that everyone online can hear us.
sure, folks, can you signal or signal if you can't hear us? Either one is good.
I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
All good news. Many thanks to, Merrill Aid Michael, who, went through storm, fire and artillery shelling
Just a viewing else, really.
in order to, get us our new, owl. So that's great, and apologies to the folks for last meeting, it definitely was not anticipated. We run 2 meetings a month and we usually do them all. August, is hard for all the obvious reasons, and other stuff happens. So welcome, Jan, do you want to kick us off with the, agenda for today?
Yes, so we'll start with, I guess, reviewing the draft minutes.
Terrific. So we've had an extensive opportunity. I'm assuming everybody has reviewed, and has a motion to approve the minutes as prepared by Jen.
I make that motion.
John Shovel and Miranda, all in favor? They're approved, and thank you as always, Jen. First up is C of A votes. And what do we have up, Jen?
So first up is 739 Warren Street, and that was the reno and restoration of the woman was the ADA compliant ramp that we had, she had to reconfigure. And we all looked at that, and I think you guys,
We did.
yes,
And 6 Willard Place.
and fixed Miller Place,
Which was
which,
spent.
yes.
Folks, do we want to look at those on the screen for a minute? Can we do?
meant to stop.
still stop sharing, yeah, sure.
So first up is. Yeah. So this is 739. And this is the C of A. It was a commercial renovation, including removal and replacement of the rear addition, installation of the bluestone terrace and treads, installation of the retractable awning in the back, if you guys remember, replacement of the front door with the custom wood door, bevel glass to match the side hall entry door, the ADA compliant ramp, the wrought iron fence, and gate, and the replacement of 2 windows and the conversion of the upstairs into a single apartment, which I think is going to be the owner's apartment.
I understand. If there are no questions or comments, may I have a motion to approve the C of A prepared by the city attorney? Kim, thank you, and Brenda, second, all in favor? Approved.
And then, Jen, would you mind just updating the date? Those were prepared for the last meeting. About,
Updating the date,
yeah,
we'll do probably on both of these, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, when you got that, shoot those to me when I get back home, I'll sign and stamp and get those to Craig.
Okay. And then here is Willard Place. I think this was the stockade fence.
Great. Sure.
The
If
price.
there are no questions or comments, motion to approve. Hugh and John. Second, all in favor? Approved. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Victoria.
And Victoria, do you want me to update at the bottom there with?
Where
the
it says
bottom
date, yes.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay. Okay,
Okay, let's go to applications for today, and what we're trying to do, and thank you for teeing it up this way, Janice, is to go through the sign apps. They go very quickly.
Yeah.
And we can get into, the applications that are a bit more complicated.
okay, so first up is 227. Sign, right, and
Is there somebody here from 227? Are you able to share your screen, or do you want us to?
Yes, I'm here for 227, Matthew Signs.
do you want to share
All
your
right.
screen?
I can try. I'm not very good at it. Let me see.
Okay, well, I have your app here. Would you like me to start with the, I can do that. Would you like me to start with the sign first,
Yeah.
the visual?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep, it's just a sign for this one.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh. Oh, hold what you got.
John, did you train this morning?
I guess
No.
it's this one.
Skip it.
Is that there?
Perfect. So this one's going to be a 36-inch by 14.5-inch double-sided MDO wood hanging sign for community craft.
Did you mean?
We have to do our regular process. First is, can we find a motion, the application complete motion? Miranda, Hugh, second, all in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the application, request the city attorney to prepare a C of A. Hugh and Miranda, all in favor? Thank you very much. Next up.
Okay, next up is, this is 225. So, and that is the sent in of the coming application for this sign. It's 225 Scoops.
Yes, so this one's actually at 223 Warren. It's in between the 225 Warren Bar and Grill and Tansy's. It's going to be a 36-inch by 30-inch double-sided MDO wood hanging sign.
Is it new hardware? Or same hardware?
Yes, yep, we are going to be providing, yes, a new straight bracket for it.
Okay. Cool. Motion to find the application complete, Hugh. And anybody, John, all in favor? Motion to approve the application or request the city attorney to prepare a C of A. Hugh and John, all in favor? Done. Next sign.
Okay, that's it. No, this is fine. Okay.
I'm sorry, the scoop application, does that need to be corrected to 223 Warren? Is that the right address? Yes. Okay,
223 is,
yeah,
okay.
okay.
I don't
Craig's
have
gonna
it, oh, here
give
it is,
with
okay,
you.
sorry. And this is,
Yep, this one's for 237 Warren. It's going to be 106 inches by 16 inches. It will be a single-sided MDO wood sign on the facade of the building, and it will also have raised letters and an emblem.
That flush to the building?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Application complete, you and John, all in favor? Any opposed, none? Motion to approve the application, request the city attorney to prepare a C of A. Miranda and Kim, all in favor? Approved.
okay, next up is 554. That's it, 554 Warren,
That's sign and awning.
yeah,
Or an
Yes.
awning sign. Got it.
is this okay?
Okay. Yep, that's perfect. So that's the sign. That's going to be 24-inch by 24-inch. It's going to be an HDU sign with raised letters and new hardware for the straight bar bracket there.
Application complete.
Hang on a second.
Yeah,
There's
correct.
a awning too. I believe there's an awning and a
Sorry.
door.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and yep, there is an awning. The awning is 13 feet long. It has a 2.5 foot projection and it is 8 foot over the sidewalk.
Is it permanent or retractable?
I'm sorry.
I was asking if it was permanent or retractable.
I believe it's going to be retractable.
Do you want me to?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're breaking up
Can you
there.
make that a condition?
Let me, yeah, I'm just opening the C of A, to see if it says, Craig, I don't remember, does it say that on the C of A?
It didn't indicate that I remember.
I think you're right, it does not.
Do you think it
Okay.
could be specific?
Yeah, I can ask our client and I can update the COA.
Any issues on that side?
Door?
Yeah,
Which door is it?
Yep, so they actually want to do 2 new doors, one for the residential and then one for the business. They stated that it's for safety and security purposes.
What are the old doors? What are they replacing?
That part of this application.
That's not this, that was, this is going to be.
Oh, all right, then never mind.
It's
Okay.
part of the application.
Oh, it
But
is?
it's already been, we've already reviewed
Yeah,
it.
this is
Been
already-
approved, yeah. This is additional, thank you.
You already did the doors?
I believe we, didn't we, that was on
This
the.
is-
No, this is part of the C of A, the new
This-
doors.
Oh,
So do we have a photo of what exists today?
There should be a photo in the application that what exists. If not, I can try to share my screen.
I do not have it. I have a signed COA, I have a signed permit, I have a COA door application, but it doesn't have any photos on it.
Okay, I can share my screen. I think I can figure it out enough to get to the doors, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Let's see.
Are they new doors or have they been just redone?
So this is the existing shop door. This is for the business part. This is what they're trying to replace.
Is the applicant on in the meeting?
And then there is another one. If you guys are done looking at that one, I can try to get to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Photo, gallery. And then this is the proposed shop door.
This has not come up before.
Is that a new cut in the structure when you say,
No, they just showed us the existing drawing.
I'm confused. Do you have a picture of the building with both openings?
I don't think well, it is on the, let me see.
Is the applicant on the online?
Yeah, so it shows it here. The shop door and then the residential door. Those are the
Right.
proposed.
Trying to see what's existing, because the way it looks to me now, basically your application's incomplete.
Hold on, I do have the picture also for the residential door as well. There's the residential door. This is existing right now for the residential door.
So both the shop door and the residence door are the same essentially?
Yes, and yes.
Glass door.
Yep.
And the new doors, what would they be made of?
See if I can see it.
No, what is it?
554 here.
Let me see if I can.
It's behind a tree, but you can see they're both the same.
New residential door, shop door is the COA specification.
I believe they're going to be wood.
It looks from the street photograph that the doors are, if not identical, very similar. They're old school multi-light glass, both of them.
And what's
Yes.
proposed?
What's proposed is one frosted glass and one solid.
So can you bring up the proposed elevation again? All right.
One has a transom fashion.
Well, I have this drawing, but I don't know if this is,
There's no specs.
let me just share the screen. This is what I have.
Okay.
It looks like,
So I assume this is the residential and this is the shop.
so the height of the door on the right has increased because it doesn't have the light anymore that's existing.
Right?
Oh, they're eliminating the transom on the right?
Yeah, I think so.
I can find that out for you and update the COA.
I think that would be helpful,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Because right now it's a little unclear. That's my opinion.
I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to differentiate the store from the residential, right? And I don't know that that's particularly bothersome. I don't think, I think also when we talk to the applicant, would they have any reason to think these doors are original? I don't think that they are, right? But, and if there's any historic photos of the building, we'd like to see that as well. Was that transom always there? It was always
Okay.
there. We wouldn't want it to go away.
Yeah, it feels like there's a little bit more homework to do because of the changing of the door, the elevation, right?
I mean, we can vote on this. I think you see where we're going. This application is not complete. There needs to be, some more photographs, so we get a sense of at least roughly the date or approximate of the existing, and I agree with John, and these are probably replacements, but let's figure that out. And we need specificity on whether the awning is, retractable or not, so,
Are we
can-
able to vote on just the sign portion of it and I can update the rest?
We can vote on the sign portion, but you have to then come back with a complete application on the rest of the work,
Okay,
okay?
Have these doors been changed already?
no, they're not currently changed, no.
Okay. Okay. So we're just focusing on the sign, motion to find the application quote unquote, and that's specifically the sign, nothing else is. May I have that? Thank you, Kim and Hugh, all in favor? Motion to request city attorney to prepare a C of A exclusively for the sign. Hugh and Miranda, all in favor, none opposed. Okay, you're good on the sign, but you gotta come back with the other side.
Okay, no worries. I'll get all the rest of the information and I'll come back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And next up is 432 Warren Street. And I will share what I have.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Oh, do you have things you'd like to share with us?
I can share it. I have it up on my screen here. I think the same thing you have.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Here it is.
You can see it now?
Yes.
Quick, Mr. Chairman, real quick on this one, just so everybody's aware, this application was already approved. They didn't start any of the work, it expired. So it's ultimately a new application, but it's the same proposal.
In that case, could we just focus on the differences in the interest of time between what was approved and what you're proposing today?
432 Warren Street.
Let's ask the applicant, is there anything different in this application that was different from what the approved application?
No, this is the same document as
No,
what we,
Okay,
Can I ask another question? Were there any contingencies in the C of A?
not that I'm aware of.
In the original, the email I sent you should have their C of A that was issued back, I think it was November of 2021.
Okay, would you like me to bring that up?
yes,
I think it
please.
would be good to just quickly go through and see what they're trying
I'm
to do.
with
It's a
Miranda,
long
yeah.
while ago.
It definitely is a while ago, so take a look.
Do you want me to go through it?
Go ahead.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can still see my screen, right? So
It's the one dated November 6, 2020,
C of A.
the original C of A. Would you like to go through it?
can it be like,
Just like, we just want to see a picture of what they're gonna do.
okay, so this is the photos we provided, historic photos in the building now. Here is the proposed elevation drawing from Warren Street. From Prison Alley, this is us here, and then this is us here. And then here's a side by side of Warren Street, the elevation drawing. So this is depicting what exists. This is depicting what it would look like when complete. This is retail storefront here, residences above. And then this is a elevation showing your view from Warren Street. The existing cornice and parapet of the building blocks your line of sight because this fourth floor apartment is set back about 8 feet. There's a terrace here.
Could you, sorry, I understand this was approved, but sometimes stuff gets slipped. Could you talk a little bit about the finishes on the new storefront?
Sure.
What's the material, what are the coatings?
Sure. Well, currently there's vinyl siding. So what we're looking to do here is a cement board siding with a 6-inch exposure. And currently there's smaller vinyl 1/1 windows. What we would be doing here is returning the window sizes to the historic size, which is, I believe they're 6 feet by 3 feet 4 inches with a 2/2. This is a double hung window, wood frame aluminum clad units, again, sized to the original openings, with simulated divided lights with a 2/2 grid pattern. This is the cornice I mentioned that'll be repainted and restored. And then we have down here in the retail space, picture frame storefront windows. This is the same siding here, but this is recessed slightly, which is why it looks shaded. And the 4th floor apartment here that we're showing you here, but you wouldn't be able to see from the street.
So the vinyl's gone, what is the surround for the windows and the material being used?
These are wood frame aluminum clad windows.
Okay,
And what about is it woodwork around the window opening?
Yes, here, this trim work.
Yeah,
yes,
I mean, we don't have anything now, but in the existing building, so we would be putting this piece here, this
yeah.
trim work here.
And that trim will be made from wood?
Yes,
it's painted wood? Is
Yes.
that accurate? Okay. Victoria, do you have enough?
Oh, I was gonna ask if there was any exterior lighting on the outside or if they would come back for that.
Are you putting lighting in on the street?
well, I think there's gonna be a recessed light here. But I don't know how visible that would be. If we want to add, maybe the only other spot I would think would be here, maybe like a sconce. But we could come back for that because I haven't selected that or anything yet. So
What about lighting on the residential terrace at the top?
I think if anything, well, you won't be able to see this from Warren Street, but we would probably do maybe a sconce here and a sconce here. Similar to what we would put here.
I think that would be great to see when you come back, the specifications, and we can make that a contingency of the approval.
Okay, sure, I'll make a note of that.
Would you be able to prep your lighting plan for 2 weeks from today? We can put the lighting plan as a contingency for 2 weeks from today when we review the certificate and modify that as need be. Does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay.
And you said the material for the siding over the stairwell is the same material that you're using on the front facade, right? The
Yeah.
cement board?
Yes, I think there's a note here, recessed with typical beveled siding. It's just recessed. I think that's the reason for the shading. But it's the same.
Do you have specs on those doors or are they being custom made?
Which doors? All of them, or which one are you asking? This one?
Miranda, it's materials to match adjacent.
Okay.
Like the whole new storefront facade, that's all painted wood finish?
Yes.
I sort of remember this that. Excluding the lighting, the applicant has agreed to come back in 2 weeks when we review the C of A. That's going to be a contingency going forward. But can I have a motion to find the application complete? You and John, all in favor, any opposed, none? Motion to request the city attorney to prepare a C of A with the contingencies
Can we just squeeze in to add just more information on the doors, even if they are custom, just specing?
Yes.
on it?
Thank you, Tony,
Thank
that's
you.
great. Thank you.
So is that clear? We need a spec plan for the lighting and, specific specs for the doors,
Okay,
materials, how made, source, whatever you got.
okay.
No, good.
Right. That was Victoria.
You both got it. Where were we?
We were just gonna vote that.
Let's vote.
Yes.
Yes. And Victoria has contingencies. We're good to go and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is 241 Columbia Street. It's the old Shiloh Columbia Lodge.
I just want to say I'm recusing myself from this one.
So then we have to wait a moment, we don't have a forum.
Folks, we're waiting for a moment so that we have a forum.
Yeah.
Cigarette or anything, you're good.
Victoria, would you like to share your screen? We're just waiting for 2 members of the commission to come back, but would you like me to share? Would you like to share? Okay, good.
Yep. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is one of the few occasions where somebody says Victoria, I don't know if they're talking to me.
Okay, it's not a bad thing. We can get an answer from both the applicant and the attorney. There's no question of fine.
Hopefully it's the same answer.
Got it. Ms. Milne.
Okay. Do we have a forum, folks?
We do, 1, 2, 3, 4.
1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, we're good to go.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Morning, Victoria.
Am I on?
You
Yes,
are.
you are.
Okay, super. Good morning and thanks for reviewing this and giving me your time and attention. You're mostly probably familiar with this project. I've been to you a couple of times before. This is the status of it at the moment, having done your approved work. We came to you in September 2020 for this work and in 2021 with the new entry facade. Today, I'm here to renew the approval and also to review some changes that we've come to. That in the intervening time, we've been looking at structural changes and how to address the wall the lower walls basically, and we're going to be rebuilding the lower wall on the east side, and that because it's going to be rebuilt anyway, we're taking the opportunity to put in windows here and to change how the pathway on the outside of the building goes. So that's what I'm bringing to you today. Let's see. So yeah, today we're looking for permission for the new basement windows and for the steps. So I'll show you what the plan is. This is the historic image that we have of the building. On the lower left are the current windows. It's a very thick wall. We're going to be rebuilding that with a thin new structure and putting in better windows than these. And this is how the building is at the moment, which you may be familiar with. So the reconstruction is along this wall on the east side, and on your left, if you were looking at the building from Columbia Street. These are up above are the current windows, which you just saw photos of, deeply inset in a thick wall. Since we have to rebuild the wall anyway, we're going to put in new windows in the same location as the existing windows. these ones are matching the ones up above in style and materials. And you've approved the ones up above, and the facade material is the same stucco that we had in our prior approved submissions. And then this is the lower west side. This is unchanged. This is what was previously approved. And these are all existing windows, but they'll be replaced with a new window type in the existing openings.
Victoria, if I could pause you, are the new windows on the south are gonna be the same size and type as the existing windows is the new windows on the north? I don't know if I'm doing the right side, but on the left and the right as you're facing the building. You're making new openings. Will they match the openings on the other side?
The openings oh, sorry, wrong direction. The openings on the west side are quite irregular. These are the existing openings. I'm not actually positive if they're going to match, because we're not rebuilding this wall. Let's see, the rough openings are 2'9" by 3'11" 5/8. And these ones are, 2'9" by 3'11" 5/8. So yes, they do match. Luckily.
And all the window styles now are the same, even though the sizes are different, right? The lower windows match the upper windows, is that right?
Yes, yes, exactly. Yes. Yes. Same materials, same design, same manufacturer. We've got the spec. Here's the spec. Here's the spec for the windows.
Good, thank you.
Great.
Be nice,
Is that the whole question?
I think we're clear on the windows now.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? The
And the
steps?
steps.
Victoria, you may not have heard that. Can you talk about the steps for a bit?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Our prior design had, well, we don't really have it in this drawing, but the steps kind of more closely mimic the grade, the pattern of the grade. And since we have to do the excavation and reconstruction anyway, on this side, in order to get more light and air into the ground floor space, we're lowering the walkway here and putting in steps on this side. They're going to be cast concrete and pretty straightforward, as you see here.
Looks great.
That's good.
It is going to be a beauty.
Thank you.
Nothing else is changing to the facade from what we discussed. Okay, great. Good luck.
Craig?
Wonderful.
Yeah, this was sent to me through Phil. I didn't get any of these changes. We have a permit that's been issued on this. So per New York State code, anytime there's a change to a set of plans, the plans have to be submitted for code review. I have not gotten them plans. Only an email plan, so I don't know the specifics of the stairs, I don't know the specifics of the windows, and I don't know the specifics of that foundation wall. You can
Craig,
probably- hang on a second, you can probably move forward to approve this, but if none of this is approvable by code, they're gonna have to come back.
I understand. That's a legit contingency, and I get it. Victoria, go ahead.
Thank you, Craig. I hear you, and I apologize for that. I have, we do have everything engineered, and I had some time to get, in response to your question, I had asked the engineer to pull together one set of stamped drawings. We have just received those, and I apologize that I hadn't gotten them to you before this meeting, but they are in hand, and I hope to get them to you in the next, maybe today, but possibly Monday. Is there a way for us to incorporate that into the approval once you receive it?
The schedule works as follows. What would happen today is we all would vote. My sense of the commission is everybody's super pleased with where we're at, but Craig is absolutely right. Therefore, there will be a contingency on your certificate. We usually vote that at the next meeting anyway, after the meeting was approved. So there's an opportunity for you to cure that contingency with Craig.
Okay,
It'll
Great.
work.
And Victoria, can I have 2 sets of them plans and then we'll keep one on record and then the approved one will go back with you with your permit as an amended plan.
okay,
And their stamp, that's the most important thing.
yeah. Thank you all very much for your consideration. I appreciate it.
Well, that's what that shouldn't be a problem.
Great.
Make this work. Motion then to find the application complete, understanding there's a contingency out. Craig has to review the final product. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion to request the city attorney fair certificate approval. That certificate ordinarily would be at the next meeting in 2 weeks. But the applicant has agreed to get whatever materials Craig needs. Or we can't approve it. All on, we have a motion. Hugh, Miranda, second, all in favor. Done. Victoria, done. Just get the stuff to Craig.
Okay, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Good luck, Victoria.
Thank
Looks
you.
great.
Bye.
It's great.
What do you got, Jan?
Next up is a continuation, C of A continuation, 317 Allen Street.
Should we get, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think this was the applicants.
Don't worry.
And the architect. Good morning, Ms. Cho. Would you like to share your screen? Or would you like me to?
I can share my screen.
Okay, great.
Oh, no.
Jan, I just want to take a minute, look at the
Yep,
notes from the last meeting.
okay.
Might be a good thing.
Yep.
So everybody's, I get the expression on the same page, but you know what I mean? There is a lot. What do you think, Jen? Is it
Would you
worth?
like me to reread the minutes?
I think we need to, or it's really not fair to the applicant. We gotta be in sync when we're looking at this. There were a couple pieces outstanding. One had to do with fenestration, as I recall. And the other had to do with proposal to use some form of coating.
Was that July 14th? Approved minutes? I believe.
Was it 14?
I think it was 14th. Let me just make sure.
It is the
I got
end
it
of
here.
July.
Was it in,
I don't think it was. Yeah,
July 28th.
July 28th, yeah, I've got it on paper. So we're at 317 Allen House.
Just a second there.
And so what's the date of these new plans?
Well, she will present them in a moment, but
But they haven't been submitted.
No,
let's
we,
update. So
Okay.
we've had, I think probably our third meeting.
shall I just read the section of what we've discussed?
Yes. please.
Yeah, please, whatever you see that should be critical to today's discussion.
So what we'll do, I'm just going to reread what we discussed in the approved July 28th minutes. So that everyone who is on this call can hear where we are today. Architect Cho presented the new application for 317. Based on new information and discovery during the renovation. Sections of approved HPC April 28th minute were read aloud. Specifically, the aluminum clad windows for all cellar window replacements were considered. Colby and Colby, I think that's how you pronounce it, wood divided light windows were requested for the new windows. Storm windows and sunroom windows will be the energy efficient Rainier's aluminum sunline, and you included the specs for that. Proposing to repoint the brick, parts of the brick, and use a lime wash, and you shared many samples or other examples. Specifically 342 Allen Street was used as an inspiration. You presented a concept for the bay window, which you had updated to now extend the lintels and replace the opening with one large Rainier's operable casement window. The original kitchen location, the location will remain, but the original porch was removed at some point. The suggestion was to create a double height kitchen windows, a pair of them that wrap around the kitchen area. So actually 2 pairs. The commission spoke about protecting the authentic and original material in an important historic house such as this, and to focus on restoration when possible. Much conversation about the dark nature of the house and the goal, stated client's goal of opening up the house to let in the light and make it more usable. Commissioner Jeremy Steins asked about the comfort level for all. Commission replacing windows above the skylight sunroom as well as the kitchen windows. Commissioner Wood urged the commission to separate the 2 conversations. There is the bay window concept above the sunroom, and then the kitchen window concept. The kitchen windows are not on the street side and could have a huge impact to achieve the objective of letting in more light. The bay window is a farther departure from the other windows. Commissioner Biber suggested multi-light treatment that might connect more successfully with other windows in the house. Commissioner Stein suggested a 3rd window in between the 2 existing windows in the same style to create a quote arcade of windows, which again may achieve the architectural intent of creating a wall of windows. Architect Cho presented other options for this bay window. Commissioner Schobel felt that the last option, which was option 4, was most appropriate, including transoms and glass that would be clear. The proposal was to use the scale of what is there, but a more modern take on that. Commissioner Biber spoke about what is there versus what would be more comfortable for the family to achieve added light. Goes on, let's see, Commission Chair Foreman asked about a compromise that does impact the lease but can add light to the house. Is it 3 separate units? Can the doors be kept? What is appropriate here? There was a discussion about the added opening, which could be 3 windows with brick in between that would bring in the added light. Commissioner Cho stated she would like to rethink, re-examine, discuss with client, and see what could work. So just, I think in summary, under discussion that we sort of concluded the windows on the upper left, which is that's the facing the rear of the house, the upper left above the sunroom, the rear kitchen windows on the right side, and then going around that kitchen, the side kitchen windows. The brick treatment was also being discussed. There was a side window that was the 6 light breakfast nook window to the right of the tall kitchen windows. Perhaps that could be a window that matches others next to it. Commission Chair Foreman acknowledged that this is a lot to encourage the client to think about. To feel free to get in touch with our architect, Wood. And Commissioner Stein clarified that HPC wants to be as judicious as possible. Can we get to a solution that gets to what you and the clients want to achieve with the least amount of alteration? What is an acceptable, attractive solution to architect and owners that involves the least amount of intervention to this important building? So that's where we are today, I think.
No, that was perfect. Thank you so much, Ann. Those are great notes. Any comments or amendments from the previous discussion, or should we let the applicant go ahead? Good to go. Let's proceed then.
I will jump right to the bay window here with that. So we did look at a few options, and we decided to present the option where we added a 3rd window between the two existing. These two doors have been revised to be casement windows, but we took the suggestion of having the 3 in a row. We do have an exhibit where we studied the 4 window option here. But we'd like to propose the 3 windows. For the kitchen, over on this side and around the corner, we do still have the 4 large windows, but we did go back and study a more appropriate proportion for the overall window opening. If we look at the previous portions, they were quite tall. These windows were about 13 feet high by 5 feet wide, and we have reduced them down to 10 feet by 5 feet, more in keeping with the double height window proportions that happen around the sides of the house. We go around to the east facade. Here is that existing elevation. We did speak with Kim in between these meetings and discussed that these are original openings, but these windows have been modified. So we did want to go ahead and propose the new openings at the smaller proportions. We are leaving the breakfast nook window, the 6-light window, and one of the suggestions here was to widen this window to match the adjacent proportions. But since we are reusing the existing masonry opening, we decided to leave this the same width.
Could you toggle back and forth between the existing and the new again for us? I think overall, and in my opinion, I mean, is that your whole presentation? I don't mean to interrupt.
We have the coding as well to discuss, but the fenestration, we need to resolve first.
So can we discuss that? What were you gonna say?
I think overall, I think it's really, it's a great improvement from the last time I saw it. My only remaining concern, which I would ask you and the client, is that window, not the 2 large ones on this facade, but the one that's.
The breakfast niche.
Is that the breakfast niche?
Yeah,
Right.
no.
It sort of sticks out to me, like if that was still the original sized opening, this facade would look unchanged,
I'm
right? It would
totally
look- I mean,
agree.
it is changed, but it would look more harmonious.
I'm totally in agreement with you because of the way that facade, it would look like it's complete, you know, it makes sense, and then like.
And
you
then here's the
understand,
kitchen.
Yes.
Right, I agree, that looks odd underneath all the rest of that, but otherwise, to me,
I disagree, I think it looks good. I think it's, because the other windows are smaller, and they're adding that new window that connects with those windows, I think, you know, it can work very well, it's my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's clearly something new, as is the kitchen windows. And I have to say, I agree with John and Kim that the kitchen section looks like an extension to the existing building anyway. That's perhaps newer, maybe it wasn't, but it has that proportion and look. And so it would confine the big changes to the newer section of the building, to a different section of the building. And this, we have to remember, this is all visible from the street. There is a Willard Place goes beside. Doesn't it, on the east side?
is Jeremy allowed to comment on this?
For sure, it's just the quorum thing. Jeremy, you're on?
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
You had done a lot of thinking about the windows and made some very thoughtful comments. Jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what everyone is saying, especially about the breakfast nook window. I think my only question is, do you need both sets of tall windows on the building to achieve the goal that we're trying to accomplish here? Would just one set of them on one facade give you the light that you need, or do you want to do it on both? That's my question.
Well, I think, I would just say, I'm not gonna speak for the applicant, but on their third presentation with those windows, I think they're asserting they do, but.
And I think it's fair. I mean, it's a different piece of the architecture. And it would be consistent on both sides with these windows in place, so
Yeah.
I'm in favor of that.
I'm in favor of it, and I don't even think I would use like that it's a compromise, because I don't think it's a compromise, I think it's a really good solution, and I think it will look appropriate. You know, on those two.
But it's not-
kitchen.
It's not visible from the street, this view.
This view is
You
not.
can see that, because there's a driveway, like, it's not like the main street, like you have to look up.
You have
It's
to-
a point you, but we have purview over the whole.
No, I
structure.
understand, yeah, I'm saying that is something that we often take into consideration. And, you know, if I'm understanding what you're saying, Miranda, it works both ways, you know, you're like, to me, yes, it can work both ways, but I think, you know, with all that's being done with the windows, this is appropriate.
But I think that four people, we haven't heard from you, Phil, but four commissioners think that it's appropriate. Well, three think it's appropriate as is without the breakfast nook. Jeremy, I think, has an open question on even the windows on this facade and altering it at all.
Yeah,
And then Hugh thinks it's appropriate with the breakfast nook.
that's a good summary. No.
My inclination is to go with our commission architect.
Okay,
She spent a lot of time on this, and that's why she's here.
And also, it is a particularly important building. It's not.
That's right.
just an average.
So majority of commission says to leave the.
breakfast nook as it is.
The breakfast,
When we have to ask the applicant
Yeah.
whether it's something they are open to.
right, but it sounds like if we were to vote on it,
If something we were to vote on it, it would pass.
Esther?
Yes, we'd like to leave the breakfast nook window as shown, and I also wanted to point out that this facade is really not visible from any of the public streets. There is the private driveway into the back and a neighboring fence. So I think once you start looking at these back windows, it's really not going to be very visible.
I don't think if the decision was to leave it as shown on the plan, I think it was to revert to the original condition. As is, not as shown.
Yeah, would that be considered, or is it like a sill height issue?
I'm lost on.
For
Yes, that window.
which window?
Breakfast nook.
Well, we took the original sill and lintel height and just made the window wider.
Right.
If you look at the existing plan, it is a little shorter than this recent.
So what goal is not being achieved then? This was all predicated on the issue of light, which is totally legit. It had been a dark house and totally understood. What are we not doing for you?
They want more light in the breakfast nook, and we want the fenestration to remain as it is on that part of the building.
I see.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure if that was addressed to us or to the applicant.
And you guys talked about this, Kim?
Yeah, we did bring this up, and I don't think we really drilled into it because we were looking heavier probably at the kitchen and what were the big windows.
Sorry, maybe I misspoke. I'm not understanding. I need to see sort of I need to see the bid and ask.
So could you flip back, Esther, to the previous?
The existing.
Yeah, so here we're talking about only the window on the bottom register, 1, 2, 3 over.
Right.
Just that window, that's the breakfast nook window. The majority of the commission believes it should remain as it is because this is the original layout of the entire building, right?
Okay.
You go to the next slide, if you would, Esther. Esther proposes that be widened and modernized in comport with the new windows in the kitchen. So. I think-
And one of the predicates for this is that it's basically not visible. And
That's one of the, at least
from the street.
That's there,
I
when
get-
they're searching.
I get the
He
point.
was also, who's also brought
It
up.
brings in more light to the
It
kitchen.
brings more light, but look at, imagine it without it, right? I think Kim makes a great point, right? Imagine it without it, this part of everything from that line to the left, to the right looks original. And then, yes, these are appropriate and tasteful new large kitchen windows. You know, frankly, they look better than the original, but that's not the consideration we have here. But everything will look.
It is to some degree. It's.
That's not
We're living in the now also, so it has something to do.
It's true, but it's an extraordinary house and in original condition, so I would just say that's the bone of contention is that one window. And the size of the opening and whether it should remain as is or should be expanded.
Okay, forgive me, I was not fully understanding this.
And then I think four of us think it should remain as is.
Like the existing.
I'm sorry, it should remain in existing condition, that window, but that the kitchen windows are appropriate. And Hugh believes it should,
That change is appropriate.
that change is appropriate. And Jeremy thinks that this facade, we should consider leaving the facade as it is, but
I don't want to go there.
all right.
We have to do that.
Let's just state the problem and state it, because we put a lot of work into this, as did everybody else, and I think it's a really attractive solution. I'm frankly sixes and sevens on, I understand his point very well. I really would like them to have a breakfast nook that they love. And is highly usable. I don't think it's visually, other than in this kind of meeting focused exclusively on problems, which is our job. I don't think that the change in scale is going to be consequential.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's under the microscope, that's all.
No, of course, and that's the nature of these kinds of discussions, and it's how you get to a bit of the truth.
But I do think the applicant should, I think the purpose of having this conversation and each of us weighing in is so the applicant can assess how likely they are to pass, and they're likely not to pass if we take a vote with the breakfast nook as it is.
Understand that, but you never know. Esther, John's point is well taken in any case. We're trying to get you done on this. If you're willing to concede on that window, I'd like to move on to the coding.
Sorry, can you repeat that last part?
We're just doing a nose count to get you forward and improve this and get the work started. John is pretty correct in whipping the votes. It looks like that extended nook window ain't gonna make it. We can go ahead and take a vote if you want. I was offering another option, which is to ask you to agree to the original as the commission architect, Jeremy, John, Miranda have proposed. And move on to talk about the coding, but it's up to you. Otherwise, we can, we still have to move on to the coding, but we'll have to vote on the whole thing. And it appears that you probably don't have the votes.
I think we can move on to the other fenestration areas.
I don't think there's an issue. This is the last remaining issue. This has been work on. Everybody did a super job, and we're totally collaborative in responding on the bay window, on all the other stuff. I'm just trying to get you done.
I mean, it would be great if we could have a vote.
Sure. No problem. We will do. Can you talk about the coding a bit then?
Sure, so let me go to that sheet.
Just while you're pulling that up, if they vote and you don't get a majority, you're going to have to resubmit a new application. Because that'll end the application.
Right, it's a really important point. So I think, would
I
you,
think the application with the exception of that one thing.
Well, I think she was asking for you to have a vote.
She did ask for a vote, but I don't think,
But could.
I don't think Esther was totally clear that could be a bad thing. That you gotta come, that she would have to come back to get approval.
Well, no, can't we just exclude that one window, Victoria?
can we make it a contingency
Sure,
of
you
the
can make it a
approval?
condition
Yeah.
that window will not be changed.
Right.
Not to change, but we could approve all the rest.
True that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could work, great.
And they can decide which.
But
Yeah,
I think
and
she
then
was
you can
asking
decide to
for
come back.
the window included, but.
It's probably not gonna go that way,
Yeah.
in order to get you moving. Again, we can come back to that. Can you talk about the coding? Because there were, Paul's not here. He had a concern about that. This building was awarded some prize for the extraordinary stonework and so on. There's some sensitivity because it's, among other things, a fairly unique structure. The commission has purview over coding. I went back and looked at the Secretary of the Interior as well as 169 of the city code. We try not to get involved. I was intrigued by the idea that I believe you were proposing lime as a finish, which among its characteristics was extremely common back in the day as a coating, but also can be washed off. In fact, fades rather quickly. Can you talk about the coating for a bit?
Sure. Yes. So on this sheet, we pointed out areas where the brickwork is inconsistent or where we just need repairs and repointing. And so we will be repointing the entire facade to help make the brickwork more uniform, but we also do want to add the lime wash to help with the inconsistencies. And we also want to point out that the lime wash is not a permanent coating. It would need to be reapplied, and it can also easily be removed.
I understand I've used it, but not everybody is familiar with it. And again, it's a unique structure. So let's start with the repair. You do not need our approval for repair. If you are repairing in kind, and in kind is not approximately in kind, it's really in kind with the exact materials. If that's all you're doing, you do need our approval. Go ahead, John.
I would remind them in the tuck pointing, many architects our previous architect before Chip was very focused on the type of mortar used so that it takes care to preserve the bricks. And I can't remember exactly what it is, but Esther, there's a specific type of mortar to be used in historic structure like this. And you probably will know better than I, but just, we do advise people when making repairs to use that and when they're doing tuck pointing.
Okay. We can provide the mortar spec, but we do have one for historic.
I'm pretty familiar with the problem in Hudson on some of these old buildings is what was used for repointing was not mortar.
Right.
It was Portland cement. And there's a world of difference. I'm pretty sure these folks understand that, but we can ask for a specification. On the coating, I understand it very well. I've used the material, but it is entirely about the application and how much the range in using lime coating can go from something that's relatively translucent and creates an illusion of evening out the finish to the building look like you just painted it white. It's a fairly awesome range, and I was thinking about this on the way over. On the coating, if it would be appropriate to ask the applicant to actually coat a small section with the lime wash and the density. And, we organize, a walkabout. To go take a look at it, because you can talk all day about it, doesn't mean a damn thing. You actually have to see it. What do you think?
Love it. I think that's great, because you won't really know what it's going to
You
look
do
like.
not know, and it's entirely about the application. It can look like nothing, or it can look like you painted the house white.
I think that's.
And can we express a preference for a lighter?
I think by definition, of course we are.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the applicant chose lime. But if you lay that stuff on heavy, at least for the first 3 years till it fades, it looks like a white house.
We had a public hearing on this, right? Did we hear, we were so fixated on the fenestration, did we hear from the audience, from the public about washing this building? I'll spoke against it, I know that, but I'm also wondering if we heard.
Well,
It was in the original application, I just don't think we got to it.
I think we can, I know, we can invite the public to this and probably should. Victoria, what do you think?
If they do something visible from the street, the public will be welcome to visit from the street, but we can't open up.
The property?
Right.
Okay. I want the commission to see what we're talking about, so we're talking about the same thing, because of the range of this and Paul's point, which is legit. Among other awards, this house was awarded, whatever, best stonework in New York State or something, so. We just be aware of the sensitivity. It is a unique piece of architecture, we get that. What do y'all think about in some form or another going over and take? Well, first of all, Esther, would you be up for that?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so let's
We
go.
would be doing that, I think, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll figure out logistics. Is there a time frame? Do you have your bucket of lime wash ready to go?
Is this something you'd want to schedule before the next meeting? Or is it more of a contingency?
Make it concurrent, but somehow or another, my theme is always consistent. I want to get you finished and go to work on the house. So sooner is better. We could do it, for example, if you had the wash down, we could kind of wander over. What do you guys think? What if we came over at 9 o'clock, 2 weeks from today? What?
Are we allowed to do it as a group? Is there an issue on?
No, you can go
It's
with the
jump
group,
talk,
you're just not, right?
or you can't make any facial expressions, like, oh my god, this is horrible.
How are you gonna do that?
I'm being the impossible, I'm gonna wear a veil. A white veil.
I'm not, Bill.
Line wash veil.
You can ask questions of the applicant and that's fine, you just can't deliberate.
I'm not here in person, but that's fine. I really want all.
Well, it'll be also up, so there'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
other times,
You
if
can
they
just
can
walk
let us
up.
know when it's up, and you can just go
I'll
look
see
at it.
my man.
If you can do it at 9.
And you can walk by. I mean, everybody should see it, because otherwise the discussion becomes silly. We don't
Yeah.
have common vocabulary and stuff.
I'm fully for this, if the applicant is willing to do it, I just, because otherwise, I think many of us would find it to be a pretty drastic change.
It can be, it doesn't have to be. And let's see.
Great.
Also, Craig would have no way of knowing once we approved it what
Oh, yeah.
we're approving if he doesn't have a sample.
He was planning to remove a piece of the house. No, he took by it. Are you game for some concept like, could you have it prepped by 2 weeks from today? So that there's something to look at?
I don't know off the top of my head what the lead time would be for the product. So can I confirm by the end of the day?
Yeah. It is available, at least some of the brands are available across the river. At the thing that's not Lowe's. Home Depot. That's what I'm trying to say. Take a look at Home Depot online, and I believe they carry lime wash. And their tones. ranging from, bright white, to, pretty subdued or slightly tinted, to, be pretty relatable to a stone undersurface. So there's probably half a dozen tones. You can also get it online. It comes in a bag of powder. You put it in a bucket and stir it. So get back to me on that. But that's a real thing. I think we need to do that. What was the thought of moving this forward with the window issue hanging over?
Well, I think you need to discuss the bay windows.
I thought we were good on the.
So I can ask a question on the bay windows. What
Yeah.
we're proposing is, can we go back to the bay windows? I have one question. The openings are unchanged, other than they're changing from doors to windows. The materials are like for like in the transom, the lintels will be like they'll be identical as they are today, right, Esther?
Well,
The
the
lintels-
the door openings will be shortened to match the planter height.
But the new transom will be identical to the existing transoms, the new lintel will be identical to the existing. Right, and just, it'll look as it is, as if it was originally there.
Well, what we had rendered was the transoms and the windows all being new and clear. But, you know, we could look into having a stained glass transom to match.
Oh, they're
Oh,
That's preferred.
the stained glass is gonna be removed, all right, well, I'm glad I asked.
They're not stained glass today.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm the owner. I'm 100% sure that is transparent glass today.
Don't we have a picture?
And can we see?
Doesn't have the transom today, right? That's right.
No, the
There
transom
is
is
a
there,
Okay, that's great.
It's clear.
Well, then let me rephrase it, so if you could zoom in on that, Esther, just like you did. With the understanding that these will now be windows, not doors. Everything else will remain as it is today, with the two existing openings. And the third opening will be made to be identical to the two existing openings.
Yes.
So whether that's stained glass or not, whatever the trim,
Whatever it is.
existing trim is, whatever the materials of the molding of the windows, they'll all be identical, and we'll get specs on the new windows that you're proposing to put in all three openings.
Yes.
Okay.
What is outstanding now?
It's just that.
Just the breakfast, not
I
window?
think so.
Okay,
And the windows on the upper left, the rear kitchen windows on the right side, we didn't even talk about them, but I think we've all
we've been through.
accepted them.
Can we, does it, Victoria's logic to move forward,
We don't,
and
I mean, this
Or can we-
application,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's complete, does it have the window specs in it? It wasn't submitted.
There,
Yes.
there were
We do
windows.
have,
We have
we
windows.
have a sheet.
Okay.
Yeah. They were thorough.
okay,
Okay.
all right. What was your idea, Victoria, in terms of how we vote on this? Or
Well-
should we defer until we have the entire package and have looked at the
The last
wash.
question.
yeah,
Well, there's a few questions. One, did you want to give the public another opportunity to talk because it has changed from what was originally presented? Two, do you want to wait until after the site to deem to take a vote on the full application, including the line wash?
I would love to vote on a whole package in some way. Every time we parse it, it introduces another complication.
Right.
Voting on the complete application with everybody having had their say is enormously helpful for lots of reasons in terms of enforcement, control, and documentation.
I would just say, as an alternative, we know very specifically what remains open. So we can vote on this as it is with the specification. I know, we're we're gonna vote on it without the window nook, right? The windows, the breakfast window, breakfast nook window.
That's a TBD. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
I mean, I'm just saying how it's like, if, or we'll do it with or without, right? It either will have it
The
or,
line wash to me is.
and then the lime wash, it won't include the lime wash.
So if you vote today.
What does Craig want?
Real quick, I just want to remind the commission, somewhere here, somewhere, a few years back, quite a few years back. We had an issue with treatment of a finished hard product on a building, marble.
Mhm. I remember that.
And the treatment was discussed almost identical to what you're talking about today. And they moved forward with the approval of the C of A. The treatment on that marble was not even close to what was talked about.
No,
The way it was written, there was no enforcement power and there was nothing anybody could do to change it. So my suggestion would be coming from an enforcement angle of this. Whenever you're questioning treating of a hard, surface. You shouldn't approve anything until you know that's what you want. Because that marble sticks in my mind to this day, and it's such a legal issue where it was almost lawsuits and everything else, and I don't know if you wanna go that path again.
no, that's,
Keep that in mind.
hence the site visit, hence we're gonna go over and see the material on the wall. And we're gonna photograph it, and that either is arranged to go forward.
I think that the applicant knows the composition of the commission on the question of the kitchen, I mean, the breakfast nook window. So maybe what we should do is say that the application is not complete at the moment because we're going to go and see the lime wash. That will give the applicant a couple weeks to think about whether they want to change the application
Or not.
to maintain the existing window in the breakfast nook, in which case they have a majority.
I understand. I agree. I'd like to get the whole thing done as a package. The chopping this up is just gonna get the tent, and Craig's point is correct. But I think we are taking that on aggressively in asking for a visit. The owner is here. We met the other day. You come by. I'm so glad you're on. And
Thank you.
opportunity, and you were thoughtful, quiet, and deferential. Are you understand what we're talking about in terms of coming by, taking a look?
I believe so, but I do think that on the lime wash, to be totally clear, we just wanted to incorporate it in the approval process because we thought that the need might arise to smooth out, and I mean with the lightest possible touch with that lime treatment, some of the damage that's been done to the brick over time, and the numerous instances of tarring and other coatings that I honestly, I can't imagine why anyone would use them. So we were looking at it through the lens of barely changing the color of the house, using a temporary product and just flagging to you that we might need to do that, given the inconsistency in the brick and the desire to repoint the entire surface. From my perspective, we could even drop the idea of the lime wash and bring that up in the future after we've repointed and have some sense for what the surface looks like. This is a little bit of a over ask, I think, now that I realize how sensitive it is.
Your decision. I'm totally comfortable with everybody getting a little exercise and walking over and taking a look, and I'm totally comfortable if you want to hold back on that, and we can go ahead with the rest of the answer.
But I mean, since we have the owner on, we have, if they're willing to drop the lime wash from this application, and they're willing to drop the breakfast nook window from the application, then we can approve the application today.
As is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're not willing to drop the breakfast nook application without conferring with, in particular, just my wife.
Seems completely useful.
That's totally reasonable and actually thoughtful.
Then we only have one contingency. Would you have us approve it except for the breakfast nook window as is, and then they could? Is that all right?
They still want it, they can come back later and ask for it again, I suppose.
as.
What would you prefer? Would you prefer to wait another 2 weeks and come back to us on the breakfast nook window? Or would you prefer us to approve it without the breakfast nook window, and then if that's your decision, then you'll be approved? Is that, I didn't say it very well.
And right,
I
and
will
just
make that.
procedurally,
Good try to
once
say
the
it
board
better.
votes, then they have to vote again 2 weeks from now, once the document's prepared, so you're on a schedule, is always 2 weeks out.
I think it's a question of convenience for the owner and architect.
Well, and his family, I mean, the owner said he'd like to revisit the breakfast nook window with his family and discuss it. That's fair enough.
But we can, assuming that we're all voting to approve with the exception of the breakfast nook window,
He could come back and
that could be a separate application.
It could do.
And then he'd be good to go and take the line wash out. So the majority of the project, as I see it, is approved.
Right.
Or hopefully would be approved.
But we're just struggling with the way to move it forward. It's not.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. The,
If I were in that position, that's.
Why don't we do that preemptive? Why don't we go ahead and approve the application without the breakfast nook window and without the lime wash? And we can come back and talk
Yes.
again. And at some point, I'd love for you guys to meet the owner in a different context. We talked quite a while, not so much about the details, but his family's affection for this building, and they're wanting to do it properly. And so we're on the same team.
Thank you for saying that. The, some of the changes that I recognize, the breakfast nook looks a bit off. That section of the building is, when you're in the house, very obviously configured for an age of a large servant staff, and is carved up into some asymmetric rooms, some windows that don't sit in the middle of the pantries that they serve, and a number of other items that I suppose made sense for the time. A porte cochere door with a 3-foot drop to the ground that would have been nice with a cart. And some of those changes, including the breakfast nook, are they're just making a space be useful for kind of a modern purpose.
And I understand that, and to the degree that we can do it with, I critically believe we need to show deference to people like yourself who are making a serious commitment, and in this case, a commitment with a great deal of passion, as you described. But I have a wife also. I'm very familiar with architectural discussions with the family, and you should have the opportunity to do that, and then we'll figure it out from there.
So we're not.
We're gonna,
Oh, we are, great.
Okay, we are.
Yeah, well, with the exception of the window and the line wash.
the motion to find the application complete, understanding we're not addressing the breakfast nook.
We'll give conditions to breakfast next.
Or it could be conditional by the next meeting. It's done, whatever she says.
Yes.
Motion to approve the application, with the exceptions and conditions as stated. Hugh and John, all in favor, any opposed? Done. You're kind of 90% approved.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Question from the public.
Public question.
Mr. Ronald, I see you have your hand raised, Mr. Kovnicki.
Yes, Matt McGee wanted to just ask a question.
I just wondered, I thought there was going to be a
Morning.
requirement about the mortar being specified so that it would be the correct mortar for the bricks. And usually the problem is that the mortar has to be softer than the bricks so that it gives way before the brick. Otherwise you have a serious situation with spalling. And so I think that maybe should be followed through with.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
we did talk about the mortar being a condition of the approval earlier, and so the standard condition we put on in these cases is that any new mortar will be matched to existing mortar in color, composition, and substance, but if you want it to be submitted to Kim for approval, we can amend.
Could you do that also, because he's right, that couldn't remember exactly what it was, you probably know, but that seems to be what.
We can do that. I mean, yes,
Yeah,
yes, it's anyone who cares about stone and stonework.
right.
In fact, does know, and I reckon these folks are serious people, but it is a condition.
It's just,
No, you're
And advice.
you're right, Joe.
thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, everybody, and what do we got up next?
That is it.
We're adjourning. Good luck on this house, treasure, and I think Hudson's very
Thank you very
appreciative
much.
of the care you're taking with it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn? Done.
Phil, would I be able to circle back to 554 Warren Street if you guys have a moment?
Of course.
All our stuff.
Thank you.
Did we
So,
already
I spoke with,
Our attorney says we have to come back to them and open the meeting again.
1 second, Matt signs, 1 second.
sorry.
Motion to reopen the Preservation Commission. Second, all in favor? Aye. We're reopened. State your case.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys doing this for me. So I spoke to my client while you guys were doing the meeting, and they gave me a little bit more information on the awning and the doors as well. The awning will be retractable. They would like to have it retractable with either a crank or a pop out. The doors, they're not getting rid of the transoms at all or changing the elevations of the doors. They're not even going to swap the doors out for new doors. They're going to keep the existing doors and just modify them for more privacy and security on the residence side. They're going to be removing the grid on the doors, on the store door side, so they can add the gilding and the shop name onto that. They said that neither of the doors open smoothly or safely, so they're going to be adjusting them in the jam. The doors are both wood and glass, and they don't know if they're original to the building before they purchase the building.
Doesn't matter. You're retaining the existing doors. Is the headline news.
And design.
And design. Is that correct?
They're taking the
They're taking the glass.
individual lights out of
Is
the.
that a removable grid or are they just cutting them out? Doesn't matter.
Yes, so they're going to remove the grid completely on the shop side to add the gilding for the gold leaf and their shop name.
And on the residential side, the window.
Yep, so
No.
yes. So the residence side, they are going to be removing the glass altogether and replacing that with hardwood to make it more secure. So the glass and the panel grid will be completely removed on the residence side.
I mean, I don't find this particularly problematic, right, what they're trying to do, so, does anyone?
It's just the application isn't.
That's not what the application shows, though, right?
We can amend that through the certificate, Victoria, or do we
I
need
mean,
it?
we can do a vote if you want on the condition that they come in with the specs for the next meeting. We've done that in the past.
Can you be here in 2 weeks or not, in some way, shape or form, get us accurate specs? So
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can submit them if I can submit them through email, or if you need me to be back in 2 weeks, I can definitely do that. However you guys prefer.
email's probably fine.
Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and make all those changes today for you and I'll get them over to you.
Okay. Great. Motion then to approve that, that application. And Kim and you, all in favor? You're approved. Just stick to what you said.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
Thanks so much, you guys. I appreciate your time.
You hear this? Awning and door specs.
Yep, I'll get them for you. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We have to vote to re-adjourn, all in favor? Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, Jeremy.
Thanks, everyone.